boss is back today. So it's been a little this morning cleaning up some of the mess. Holy. Didn't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning last night because I didn't fall asleep until 3:30, and I haven't a clue why. Zero stress. I made a bunch of bison ribs from a friend of mine who has a big bison ranch in northern BC. He had a good healthy meal, watched some TV, and then all of a sudden I just started flipping around like a frickin' pancake frying pan. And I didn't fall asleep till like 3:30. Oh, I was so angry about that. But anyway, whatever. We have a share here that's gonna get put ahead of the line right now. This is from a person who enlightened us to a First Nations man referred to as Mr. Ash. And many people are familiar with Mr. Ash. Where did it go? Here we are, found it. And I think what happened was he either left his diaries to this generous person, Brian Stidham, and he is going to share a whole bunch of this with us, all right? I'm only on my 1.5 copies so far. Not quite awake, so bear with me if I stumble a little bit, all right? Or if I'm stumbling right now, I feel like it. Yes, so it's Mr. Ash's Diaries. How exciting is this? I haven't a clue what it says, but it's lengthy and it's probably going to be very informative, all right? This is titled, Knowledge and Experience from Mr. Ash's Diaries, Part 1. Thank you so much for this. Good day, sir. It was last October I sent you the email of being gifted my Ojibwe father, Mr. John Ashinaba's 14 diaries. So with that said, Happy New Year. It was deer season in northern Lower Michigan, the last I wrote, and it was a great harvest. One 7-pointer and one 10-pointer have filled 3 racks in my freezer. It's freaking awesome. Oh, and this is bow season. I hunted the 1964 Fred Bear Kodiak Magnum 54-inch, 45-pound pull recurve bow. That's freaking wicked. I started off with almost the exact same bow, but it was a Browning, and I was a little punk. It's one of the 2 bows my dad bought in his lifetime. He made his own bows. 3 of them are made from green ash and 2 are made from cedar. Even though they're about 36 inches long, they have nearly a 60-pound pull. You better eat your Wheaties before hunting with these tools. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, listen, you guys, this is what I'm gonna do to carry on with this one. I'm gonna go inside the house because the house is very soundproof. We don't even hear vehicles drive up half the time. And the next property over has an excavator going and a garbage truck, and so I can't open up the huge doors here. Echo is actually bothering me. I'm going to take this inside, all right? All right, a little better in here. Kick the cat out, kick the dog out. Don't have the goat screaming at me. Now, where were we? Put this on airplane mode so I don't get interrupted. All right, here we go. Firearm season begins on November 15th, and it was the second time my daughter accompanied me on a hunt. The first time was when she was 15, and I bagged an 11-pointer with an old British Enfield 303 that my great-uncle gifted her for her 14th birthday. That was my first gun, too. I think that was everybody's first gun in Canada. Everybody had an old Lee Enfield 303, the old 9-shot magazine or 10 or whatever it was. It was gifted to him by a British soldier in Italy, World War II. It still fires great to this day. This year, and I kid you not, she used my Remington 700 308 and bagged a 10-point and an 8-pointer within 10 minutes. It's freaking awesome. After that, our day was done. And here's her triumphant photo. Uh-oh. I don't think there's a photo included, or else I might have missed it. Damn it, I want to see that photo. I'll have to go back in my inbox later. I got two 700s actually, Remington 700s. I got one 300 Ultra Mag and I got a 243. Anyway, back to the story, sorry guys. Personally, I don't like hunting with a rifle because it's too easy for me, but that's just me. I hunt, not wait and shoot 250 plus yards. Now before someone blows a gasket and begins to go into a tirade that firearms are the only way to hunt, as I have stated, it's just me. I've been shooting since I was big enough to hold a rifle, which was right around the age of 4. Breathing, target assessment, azimuth angles, and body dynamics were pounded in my brain by my dad, a U.S. Army veteran. So for all the firearms hunter out there, I wish you all the best in your yearly harvest. I don't even know if that's much of an issue anymore, is it? The divide, semi-divide, or controversy. I do both. I've grew up bow hunting myself, but sometimes, you know, when I'm up north, I am absolutely about the freezer. Whatever. Teach their own. I mix it up. Gun to bow. Now, with the how to hunt portion of this email concluded, on to the facts portion. Sweet. It was after New Year's that I dove into the world of lexicology, the study of words. As I had stated before, Mr. Ash wrote these diaries in Ojibwe, Algonquin. It soon became clear I would need to seek out not only Ojibwe fluent speakers, but also Potawatomi. Oh, Potawatomi speakers. The Ojibwe, Potawatomi, also known as Bodwadmi, and Ottawa, are known as the Council of the Three Fires. In Anishinaabe, Niswi, Mishkodewinan, Neswi-Mesh-Kodewinan, also known as the people of the Three Fires Confederacy, or the United Nations of Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi people. The language and the meaning of the language differs among the tribes. The same word or phrase can have a different spelling, though it has the same meaning in another dialect. Mr. Ash wrote it in Ojibwe and Potawatomi dialect. Mrs. Ash's wife was Potawatomi. Her dialect influenced his writing. Before I knew what was happening, I'd become an Algonquin logophile, a person who studies the meaning of Algonquin words. The majority of Ojibwe words are made up of many root words. For example, naboop, nabote, soup, stew, or broth. Another example is dewe egon, the drum. To break it down, do means heart, way is the voice or the sound the drum creates. And egon, means instrument. In plain English, the drum makes the sound of the heartbeat. That's interesting. Naboop, or naboop, or boop, is a general word for soup. There are specific words for different types of soup, such as baka akwen hiwobo, chicken soup, or chicken drinkable liquid. Another word that is used for broth is sabo, meat drinkable liquid. One word can be used in several ways, and one word can be complete thought or sentence. So, that has been my year so far in diving into the translation of these words. I've received several odd looks, head shaking, and warnings. Mr. Ash wrote these diaries as if he was writing another midday. Midday. Mr. Ash was a Medawini. Sorry guys, it's my very first day at learning native language, okay? In English, a medicine man and a member of the Midewiwin. In English, the Grand Medicine Society, the keepers of knowledge and understanding dating back over 15,000 years. There wasn't a plant, animal, fish, fungi, moss, reptile, or amphibian he didn't know about in our little part of the world. His understanding of the stars was extraordinary. He, the Midewiwin, knew of black holes before modern science. How the hell do they know about that? Acknowledgement them acknowledged them for thousands of years. The Anishinaabe tell how originally they came from the stars. This oral history goes back thousands of years and is still told by the elders today. Mr. Ash wrote a dedication page to me that said, "I have given you most of what I know, but not all that I know. There are some lessons that have to be learned on our own. Don't listen to any one person. Listen to many and take the knowledge and find your own medicine. Listen to those that are humble, that speak with courage and honesty. Those that brag are like dried pine. They burn bright and fast, but soon are nothing more than a pile of ash that's only good for feeding the trees." I took that as meaning, don't listen to those who boast or brag or believe they are an authority. They'll baffle you with bullshit and not give an instant of brilliance in the so-called Bigfoot community. Many, not all, are nothing more than glory hounds with peacock feathers shouting over the internet, "Look at me, look at me. Now send me your money and experiences and we'll tell you what to think." I've said it once and I'll say it again and again. To hell with those mental midgets. Amen. Well, it sounds like our channel is going in the correct direction, according to Mr. Ash, right? Taking his advice to heart, I found 3 Ojibwe elders. All knew Mr. Ash and told me how lucky I was to be given such a gift, I'll say. They wished others in their community would do the same for their youth. It's hard to get the youth nowadays to learn the cultural ways of people. You have to begin teaching them at a very young age. The age when the spark of curiosity ignites and teaches them how to keep that flame burning for a lifetime. The loss of indigenous knowledge over the past 50 years is saddening and to some incomprehensible. No doubt. It's up to those of our age and generation to show the children today that the oral histories aren't myths or legends or made-up fairy tales. Here's where we find the quagmire, the old saying, "It's hard to teach old dogs new tricks." Well, it's hard for many to recondition their thought process. We have been taught from youth, an apple is an apple, nothing more. But is it? It's also a fruit, a means of making juice, a seed bearer, a tanning tool. We're only given one thought, and we hold that thought till we make it to a level in our own schooling that tells us, now, let's expand on what an apple really is, changing our perspective on what we thought we knew. With this in mind, the first passage in the Diaries that was marked, "Understand this first," was the 7 grandfathers' teachings. The 7 grandfathers' teachings are represented by 7 known beings. Some may say animals that are in existence today and been for over 15,000 years. Their names and what they represent are, number 1, the wolf, Meagin, humility. Number 2, the bear, Makwa, bravery. Number 3, the beaver, wisdom. Number 4, the turtle, Mickey-Knock, truth. Number 5, did I miss out on the beaver's name? Makwa, oh sorry. The bear, Makwa, the beaver, Amik, wisdom. Number 4, the turtle, Mickey-Knock, truth. Number 5, the buffalo, Mashcode, Moshcode, respect. Number 6, the eagle, Migzi, love. Number 7, the sabe, also known as Bagwagininwag. Bog, and then it says how to pronounce it. Bogwaginis. Bogwaniwag. 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 I think I'll stick to Sabe. And that is the wilderness people, and they stand for honesty. I won't get into all the teachings and their representations. If the members of the Round Table of Knowledge would like some heavy reading, there's no way to consider it light. The grandfathers' teachings are well documented. There must be 100 plus pages in these diaries pertaining to Sabe and other beings in the forest and the knowledge Mr. Ash accumulated from the elders and personal experiences. The one takeaway from the writings is, and it's made extremely clear, Sabe is real. We all know that. Not only to Mr. Ash and those of us who have had an encounter with these people, but to the indigenous people of the North, Central, and South America. As I said, the Ojibwe took known beings, to represent the grandfather's teaching because they live with these beings every day. The one passage that has really stuck out for me was about the time Mr. Ash, as a boy, circa 1920s, sat with his grandfather during a ceremony, and there was a problem with cultivation of sugar beets. A sickness was on them, a disease, and the elders couldn't understand what was causing the problem. An elder stood up in the lodge and chose Mr. Ash's grandfather and 2 others to go to the woods and ask the sabe if they could give them medicine to cure the beet crop. They were chosen for being very honest men, solid in their values, and rock strong in their culture. We need a big group of those individuals right now. These men spent a week in what is now the Huron National Forest performing ceremonies and making prayers. On the 5th night, the men sat by the fire talking amongst themselves, coming up with ideas that may help the crop. In the diary, it is said, the fisher, note, the fisher, a small weasel-like mammal and what the Ojibwe called the constellation, the Big Dipper, was heading to the ground, the horizon, when the Bagwajinini, the wild man, came and sat by the fire with them. They all began asking for medicine to help the crop. They were all told at once, and no voices came out of anyone's mouth, not to go to the Zibi-Weanaki, Zabi-Weaninaki, which means the river in fur country. The waters are bad there, and the fish you use for growing your crops are poisoned. Go to the big water of the Wendat, the big water is Lake Huron, and catch fish on the sand-covered beaches. Use those fish to feed your crops, they will grow. 2 fish for every plant. Use these fish for 1 month. Then you can use the fish from the river again. The great sabe stood up and walked into the forest. They didn't see him again. The dog wants in. He's not going to stop barking. Hold on. Come on, get in here. The cat's not coming in. The thing will be stuck to me like Velcro. All right, let's get on with it. They didn't see him again. The next morning, the men made their way to the shore of Lake Huron. They found a sandy beach and set nets for the fish. The next morning, they had enough fish to feed the crop and set off to the village. They told the women and children how to place 2 fish for every beet plant. They went to the field and did so. The men took the fish that came from the river and took it to a far-off place and buried them in the sand. Many in the village had stomach ailments, and the men realized it was from the bad fish that was caught in the river. Come harvest time, the sugar beet crop was huge, the most they had seen in 7 winters. The knowledge they were given by the sabe of catching fish near a sandy shore, as we now know, means the sabe knew sand is a natural filter. It takes a matter of days for the water to be filtered through the sand, whereas in the rocky bottom rivers it can take a month. Another passage in the diary told of the day when 2 white fur hunters came onto the tribe's land without asking permission. This happened so frequently that the stories are endless. Many of the fur hunters had respect for the Anishinaabe, and the Anishinaabe respect for them and helped them find fur-bearing animals. On this occasion, these 2 fur hunters clubbed a boy of 8 winters, years given to him in winter seasons. He wasn't killed, but was slow the rest of his life. These 2 men demanded to know where the best fur could be found. The elder, knowing these men were of bad hearts, sent them in the direction of where the Anishinaabe wouldn't go to hunt. Note, there are many places the Ojibwe avoided like the plague for many reasons. Some of the reasons are never spoken about and no one is to ask why. They know not to go there, and once you are told, that explanation is good enough and nothing more is to be said. The land these men were sent to was more than a mile away, and Mr. Ash wrote when he asked his grandfather why did they go that way when no one goes that way. Mr. Ash's grandfather told him, the elders sent them on a 4-day journey. That means the elders sent them to die. A 4-day journey. A 4-day journey besides the death of an Ojibwe person. I think besides must have been a typo there, sorry. Let me do that sentence one more time. That means the elders sent them to die. A 4-day journey decides the death of an Ojibwe person. The first day, the soul goes to the moon where it is given knowledge. And the soul looks up, and the soul looks upon the earth for the first time. Then the soul is sent through the universe to speak with its ancestors and speak with the Creator to gain knowledge, to come back and guide the living who are willing to hear. Once these men are sent on this path, they were never seen again, though the people knew of their demise. On the second night, after the men left the village, far in the night, the sound of many winds and waters could be heard. Many winds and waters is a metaphor for roars and screams. The villagers knew the men were dead. They were told to never speak of them and never tell their story to anyone, or they could come back as a Wintico, also known as the Wendigo. Wendigo. More on the Wendigo in another email. Note, the Ojibwe never speak of the Wendigo, especially if there is snow on the ground. I don't care if there's only a trace of snow, they are never to be spoken about to anyone. So many phony cryptozoologists call them a myth. They are no myth and need to be left alone and not talked about. 1 week after the roar and screams were heard from the forest, the remnants of the 2 men were found high in a pine tree near the river. Some clothing was found, and some of their parts were found. Those remnants were left in the tree. 1 week later, the remnants were gone, and the incident was never spoken about. Mr. Ash goes into great detail of hunting and fishing and the traditional ways the Anishinaabe would do so. I'll send another email on that topic as well. He tells of the other spirits and beings that make the woods and forest their home. The Memegwesi, Mamegwasi. Okay, hold on, now I'm getting text. I'm in airplane mode. How does that work? Damn it. The Mamegwasi, the little people that live in the rivers and streams, in the rocks and trees. The bear walkers. Makwa Bi Moshkwi. These are malevolent medicine people that have the gift of shape-shifting and always into the body of a bear. They come to their victims 4 times. On the 4th time, the victim will die. Now it gets more weird. 4 days after the victim has been buried, the bear walker comes to the victim's grave and digs it up and takes part of the body. The tongue is preferred, but they'll also take a finger or a toe. If the bear walker doesn't do this, 4 months after the body is buried, the bear walker will die. Then, of course, there is the Wendigo, the malevolent spirit being that can take the form of whatever it wants. They are cannibalistic. It is said that by even talking about a Wendigo at night will cause them to find you. Mr. Ash wrote about the physical and spiritual existence of the sabe. I know it's hard for many to wrap their heads around this subject, but to the Ojibwe and many other First Nation and American tribes, the sabe, the Sasquatch, the Oma, etc. is spirit and flesh at the same time. This can be a very touchy subject with very religious people. For most of the world, Jesus Christ was the person to walk the earth that was spirit made flesh. Without going into a whole theological debate, I'll just say this. The Ojibwe and most of the First Nation and American tribes don't have a religion. They have a spirituality that goes back more than 15,000 years. Christianity is a little over 2,000 years old. Judaism is more than 4,000 years old. Islam, around 1,450 years old. Buddhism, more than 2,500 years old. All of these religions are not as old as the spiritual teachings of the indigenous people of the world. I'm just giving you the facts, folks, and I will never be the one to tell anyone what to believe in, but the fact remains. The spiritual history of the native peoples far older than the oral histories, and the oral histories they have passed down haven't changed in thousands and thousands of years. They are still told today. Thankfully, they are told today still. The elders speak of the sabe having the power of the star people. In the Ojibwe culture, the star people were and are a huge part of their lives. There are many pictographs on stones that have been dated, and many are over 3,000 years old. Here's a rock that was recently discovered upon a road that was being repaved, about a foot into the ground. The question I have is, why was it buried? There is a reason it was, and I hope no ill will on those who found it. The knowledge of the star people have given the Anishinaabe is used today by the medicine people. They are the keepers of knowledge. They say at one time all the Anishinaabe had the same abilities of the star people, but some began to use it in nefarious ways, and over time it was taken away from the Anishinaabe as a whole, but the medicine people who were pure of heart were able to keep the ability to educate the tribe and to pass down the medicine that has been given. One of the attributes of the sabe that Mr. Ash wrote about, how they can be flesh to spirit in the blink of an eye. It gives them the ability to live in trees and rocks, the same as the little people. Excuse me. They can use the power of the star people to beck a ball of light. This described as a large blue ball of bright light moving through the timber with ease. Though they have these almost unbelievable abilities, they are in many ways like us. Yet, it is said, they can use the power of the stars to make us ill. This power is what we would call radiation. This is getting frickin' interesting, isn't it? Some of the Anishinaabe have documented instances of members of the tribe coming into contact with the sabe, and because of their devious intentions, they were given a sickness. The sickness we know today as cancer. Side note, Indigenous Americans and First Nations people have much higher rates of getting several cancers, including lung, colorectal, liver, stomach, and kidney cancers, compared to non-Hispanic white people in the United States. The data is online and quickly accessible. The so-called governmental health agencies tell us it's due to being overweight, eating poisoned game, alcohol, and smoking. Now, we all know about drinking and smoking. That's a given. What the agencies don't want to tell you is what the items are used in some of the natives' ceremonies. I felt like I've gone to that sentence one more time. What the agencies don't want to tell you, oh, there's double 2 2s there. Your fault, dude. Kidding. What the agencies don't want to tell you is what the items are used in some of the native ceremonies. Mercury is still used by many tribes in ceremonies today. Certain varieties of mushrooms are known to cause cancer and also used. I know what everyone is thinking. If it causes cancer and we know it, why use it? The answer for the native people is simple. It's a way of life. It's their traditions, their culture. It's what makes them who they are. I don't see them changing their way of life anytime soon. They haven't done it in 15,000 years. Why start now? Excuse me. The sabe have the ability to see with only the power of starlight, what we would call ambient light. And for great and for great distances. They see you long before you know what they are. Long before you know that they are near. One passage was hard to translate, but later I found a Potawatomi speaker that kindly translated it for me. He wrote, "They, the sabe, have a medicine to speak to our bodies. This power is what we would call infrasound." Mr. Ash wrote how he was fishing on the river when he began to feel his quiver and shake. He knew what it was. He had come too close to someone else's fishing. He had come too close to someone else's fishing hole and was warned away. He added, "The voice of the river must have covered our heartbeats, until the water changed its drumming." What he meant was, water, especially running water, has an ever-changing tonal voice. Take a recording device to any river for 1 week. At the same time every day, record the river. Run those recordings through a sound oscilloscope. You'll find not one of the sound waves will be the same. They're always different. Water continually changes its voice or its tone. Being one with nature, the Ojibwe and sabe would know the difference. For most of us, we would say, man, that water's high today, moving swiftly, and leave it at that. Open your ears and your heart and you'll hear much, much more. Don't listen to the water, feel the sound of the water. Now, I'm not talking about Jedi mind trick. I'm simply saying, feel the environment. In a rushing river, doesn't a large boulder in the water hum as the torrent passes? And when the river is calm, does that same boulder still hum? It sure does, just not with as much volume. Even in calm water, you can feel its changes. For some more light reading, not looking to the third of 7 universal laws, everything moves and everything vibrates. Nothing is at rest. Many of Mr. Ash's accounts of seeing or being near the sabe have been by the river. He spoke of the river as a living being. The Ojibwe look at all things as having a spirit. The grass, the trees, the water, and even rocks. We have the same minerals in our bodies that the earth holds. We are not of the earth, we are the earth. As far as the water having a voice that can alter our minds and bodies, one example is, have you ever fallen asleep next to moving water? The rain on your roof, the sound of a torrent river. Water has the ability to close our minds and in the same instant, open them. I've heard many who have written in, excuse me, and said they surprised a sabe, Sasquatch, etc. near a waterway. It's not that they didn't know you were there, it's because the water masked our presence till something changed. It's more than a coincidence. It's what we see, hear, feel, and experience every day, but many don't see, hear, and experience because to them, the woods is the woods. They literally can't see the forest for the trees. There's a bigger world out there that we have never been told about. And that world doesn't include what we can physically see, hear, and touch. Well, I don't want to make this too long. What? I don't want it to end. Well, I don't want to make this too long, but I'll say yes. I haven't expanded on many of the topics in this email, but it's all about further translation of these diaries. I'll expand more later. The amount of knowledge in these diaries is astounding. The adventure of understanding one word and later finding that one word is an entire phrase. This will take me years, but I'm working on it a couple hours a night. Holy shit, good for you, man. So appreciated. I should be through by my 103rd birthday. Well, hopefully we'll be here for it. Oh, I've heard you say you would like to speak to some of the elders in part of the world. If you do bring them tobacco as an offering for knowledge, I don't mean store-bought tobacco either. The Ojibwe make their tobacco from Miskwa Beamish, or otherwise known as red willow, or red osier, red dogwood. It grows near rivers everywhere. Strip the bark from the limbs, then strip the inner layer from the bark and dry it. And that is what becomes tobacco. The Ojibwe will also place shavings of cedar in their tobacco to make the tobacco pop as it burns so that the spirits come to the offering. You can use what is called white man's tobacco or store-bought, but if you do, buy the unprocessed tobacco. You don't want all the chemicals in the offering tobacco. You want it to be pure and show your intentions to the elders that your intentions are pure also. If you're interested in making tobacco for offerings, there are numerous videos by tribes across the continent making tobacco in their traditions. That's handy knowledge for me anyway. Have a great year, Steve, and I'll write again soon with more. I'll send you a personal email on hunting and fishing knowledge, and you can do with it what you will. Who would ever think of using a dead bird's beak as a fishing lure? When tied correctly, they click under the water and are a great musky lure. Have a great year to all, and to those mental midgets who still want to see one of the forest people up close and personal, be careful what you wish for. Then again, we may not hear from afterwards. Be safe, be healthy, turn off the TV and go outside and live. Sincerely, you can use my name. These diaries are protected like Fort Knox, Brian Stidham. Mitakui Owesin, all my relations. For you, Steve. Okay, man, gotcha. Well, how's that for handful? Sorry for my handful of interruptions and hiccups there, but now everybody's probably going to want to maybe go back over and listen to that again. But as I was reading it, lights were, the bulb was going off more times than it wasn't, because it all correlated with so much knowledge that we've accumulated here, experiences from people, what's common, what seems to come up more times than not. A lot of what I feel and how I carry myself, I related to in that email as well. So there you go. And it's kind of coincidental. Wasn't the last video I emailed about possibly taking a challenge soon? And that was just random thought. As you know, whatever comes between my ears spits out my mouth within seconds, so sometimes it don't make sense. But what I'm getting at is, I wonder if we could possibly try it soon. Because what I would like to do is try to encourage people to get outside, get away from this connection, chop it off, and start to move you and your natural senses back out to where they need to be, at least sometime. Like, I don't know how, I'll figure out a plan soon, but what I'm hoping to do is to possibly encourage everyone to get outside, get away from that, rely on your senses, your natural instincts, and at least try it an hour for a day, or an hour to start small, whatever you can afford to do. Just get away, get out there, be alone, sit on a stump, go to the edge of a park, off of the main park trail, whatever you got to do. Just get outside, sit by a river, walk along a river, walk along a lake, sit on a log by a lake, go by the ocean, I don't care. Get outside, focus on your natural environment, get away from that, and just try to implement that action into your everyday life, all right? It will make things way better. It will make everything between your ears much clearer. I will guarantee it. And that comes along with eating healthy too. And that's what I was thinking. I think I will think up a realistic little challenge we can all do at the same time if you're in. And it's not hard for me because I'm going to go away for, I don't know, over a week here soon, and I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere. It's just, you can see by my videos, it's what I do. I get this medicine all the time. And but I want that medicine I want to share this medicine back to all of you and try to encourage all of you to get back outside and breathe that air and look and hear and listen and feel it all. Start doing that again, okay? And we'll see if we can get a bunch of people to start slowly trying that. It would be interesting to hear the reports back of what may have changed for the better from people, right? I'm babbling. Need more coffee, maybe. Anyway. Yeah, I was cross-eyed tired yesterday. I wanted to get my barn done before Sarah got back. So close. So much work. Pouring rain the whole time. And then I was just being terrorized by these animals. If the cat wasn't locked out of the house right now, it would be crawling over me like I was a frickin' jungle gym. The goats, I let them out. They terrorize me non-stop. Like yesterday, I'm up on a ladder working in the barn. There's pink insulation exposed in the wall, and the little bastards are eating it like 2-year-old kids eating cotton candy. I look down, I'm like, get out of there! Then I gotta run down, chase them down, ram my finger down their throat, and pull out this ball of pink fiberglass insulation. Little doorknobs. Yeah, and then one of my horses decided to bust through the fence and got loose. I had to catch him. It's just a complete, if anybody could watch a video of this property with me and the animals for the last 3 days and put it fast forward, it would have been a frickin' Benny Hill gong show. But anyway, and then last night by the time I got in, I wanted to hopefully get some voices heard, and I was so tired. I started looking at different old external drives that I have. I have a stack of external hard drives full of content that I've been filming in the real world for years. And I just got wrapped up in watching because there's so many clips I didn't realize I had anymore. I forgot about because I was going to start making more videos with to show you guys some of the things I've seen. And then I was just way too tired. But what I did come across, and I'll share it right now, and I'll share the story again. I shared it quite a while ago. But the second I saw the road end the day, it's like, whoa, I remember that. But it's good that I can share this clip. So, there's a handful, this is years ago. This is probably like, I don't know, who knows, 10 years ago plus. And with a couple of buddies, it's spring bear hunting season. We're sitting in the stand. Remember the stand? When I went to that stand, I hung the meat up with the cameras up there, and the stand got turned on. And we're having beers, and we're just being dudes. And they're coming back. And what I used to do on my porch, when I had these frickin' bears coming on my porch, tormenting the yard, I would unscrew the tip from the arrow, and I'd drop back and I'd drill them right in the ass. Arrow would bounce off every time. That's what happened. One of my stories I shared was a bear going up a tree, and I was shooting him in the tree at nighttime, and he peed all over me. And I was in my underwear getting my arrow back up from underneath the tree. I think I titled the video, "A Bear Pissed on Me Last Night." Funny story. But anyways, so I would be using that old compound bow, and I would take the tip off, and it would shoot the bear, bounce off the bear, and try to convince him to stay away from my frickin' front porch, my yard, without killing him. And then we did have a problem with city people coming, certain groups of people from the city of Vancouver coming up and poaching bears and poaching much game. And so we're driving down a logging road, and here's this bear standing on the side of the road, smart as a pickle. So I said to my buddy, I go, watch this, I'm gonna give him a little education that the side of the road in trucks this time of year isn't a safe place to be, right? So I unscrewed it, but now I had a new compound bow. I got a receiver from a tip. It's actually a tip from a PSE Rep TV guy from PSE, the bow manufacturer. I guided him on a filmed hunt for PSE, and he got a record moose with it, and his bow wasn't even on the shelf yet, and he gave it to me as the tip, as a tip for the hunt. And I unscrewed the tip off of the arrow, excuse me, when I drew back, and I shot him in the ass. I don't even remember how far, it might have been 30 yards or so. Shot him in the ass, give him a little education, and being a dummy, we're just being stupid, doing stupid shit. And if the arrow didn't penetrate his ass, the side of his butt cheek, and he took off with the arrow. I remember thinking, oh shit, what have I done? Right? You're like the kid who threw the ball, and it's whatever, and it smashed the neighbor's window. You're like, oh shit, nobody's seen, but you know you screwed up and did something real stupid. So the bear takes off the arrow. I look back at my buddy, we're both like this. Oh no. And I went off up the side of the mountain, no arrow. And then you're just kicking yourself because you just did a stupid thing. Anyway, fast forward. Now we are talking that next winter. So we got springtime, fast forward to winter. And I'm going up this old deactivated logging road, and there's possibly, and it's coincidentally, this logging road is straight up the mountain, directly above where I had screwed up and did something real stupid with that arrow. And that was way down below in the valley bottom, okay? Now, I'm going up this logging road, I'm on fresh snow, I'm the only one. And I'm going up there I'm trapping wolves is what I'm doing. And I'm going up there, and it's kind of raining. It got mild up, but there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 feet of snow deep on that logging road, okay? Follow what I'm describing here. The snow is around 4 to 5 feet deep. It's winter time. When I shot that arrow at that bear's butt cheek, it was springtime on the valley bottom, all right? And what reminded me of the story is I found the video clip of that exact spot in the road while I was wolf trapping, because I wanted to show everybody, I was teaching people how to trap wolves back then, and I wanted to show everybody what I was up to. I had all my stuff on my sled, I was bogged down in rotten snow, and I was getting stuck, and it was hell. And I videotaped it. Coincidentally, I videotaped exactly where I'm going up that road, not a track on it, and here is that arrow sticking straight up out of the snow, pushed down maybe that far into the snow, which the snow is actually 4 to 5 feet deep. And there's my arrow sticking there on the side of the frickin' logging road. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I got total creepy goosebumps right now remembering that. Now, how do you explain that one? Right? I mean, obviously I felt ashamed of myself for doing that stupid move. And at that time, it's almost like I was being told, yeah, here's your arrow, stupid. We saw it. And that's how I still take that today. And what else can I tell you about that immediate area? So straight down below is the bear in the spring. Right up the log is where I trap wolves. Straight above the switchbacks is where a man was chased out of the woods by something which voice sounded like the combination between a roar, a scream, and a gunshot. And as well, we had somebody email in that was camping straight down below on the valley bottom floor. So if I'm standing where that arrow is, straight above is where that man is chased out. Straight down below is where a man was camping in his tent. And he's seen the eyes and seen this thing towering over the logs in the river looking at him in the night with his flashlight. That happened straight down below. What else? So only about 7 kilometers farther up the road and into the swamp is where the stand is. That stand that I had that got torn apart. And then about 7.5 kilometers up on the right is where I had the 2 beating on the tree above me. And then another 15 kilometers up that main line is where a water truck driver for Halliburton saw one of these things run across the road and power run straight up the bank, jumping over logs, going uphill, and never slowed once. And then another 3 kilometers past that is where I was intentionally going to possibly see or film one of these beings, back when I was real stupid, more stupid than I am today. And then that is when I heard the log going through, I call it a log, going through the underbrush and smacking the side of the cottonwood tree in the springtime. And that was a blatant, what I took that as to me was a blatant F you. And I'm like, note taken. I'm good. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm good. And I haven't intentionally sought out since. Also, I heard before that time the exact same spot was a 3-toned howl-like call. And I had a young kid that worked for me. We were going in there intentionally looking. And that was my first indicator that I got busted. But I could never mimic that call for what it's worth. It's not even possible. And definitely not a wolf. I know what a wolf call is. Wolves only do a 2-tone call. And that was a 3-tone call, way too long drawn out for any wolf or human being's lungs to do. But anyway, how's that coffee treating me, eh? I might even do a little share again later on today because we only got to hear one voice, but it's an important one. I love hearing from Mr. Ash. And to you, sir, I love the fact that you actually went out of your way to take that time, learn that knowledge, and share it with us. What a frickin' huge gift. And I look forward to hearing more. Anything. I look forward to hearing all of it. So anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. All right, you guys? Share my story at howtohunt.com. And you got knowledge that's going to help the people, or you need something to get off your chest to help you, get it in. This is your safe place. All right? I'll see you guys shortly.